Hi, and welcome again. We all know by now what are integers, and we can say that integers includes positive counting numbers, negative counting numbers, and zero. A union of all these three makes a set of integers. But positive counting numbers is okay. You can think about it as a useful tool in counting. But how come negative integers or negative counting numbers can be helpful to us? So today we are going to introduce with something called negative numbers and in general something called as directed numbers. And we are also going to study the algebra of directed numbers. So let us start our journey of enjoyable mathematics with Pankaj sir. So welcome once again and let us get started. So I was talking something about negative numbers or negative integers. When I talked in the last session about integers, I told you that numbers with a negative sign are also included in integers. For example, n minus is a set of negative natural numbers, and these numbers can include minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, and it goes on up to minus infinity. This set of numbers with negative sign in front of them are known as negative natural numbers or just negative numbers. And directed numbers are in totality, whatever positive numbers are there, whatever negative numbers are there, together they are known as directed numbers. Or in other words, directed numbers are nothing but numbers with some sort of sign in front of them. So if you put some number, if you imagine a set of numbers, say 100, 200, 500, okay, 2, 50, whatever number you think of. And if you put some signs, a plus or a minus, minus or a plus in front of them, then these are nothing but directed numbers. Okay. So directed numbers are numbers or numerical values which will have, in addition to numerical value, either a plus sign or a minus sign in front of it. So that is known as directed numbers. So today we are going to start algebra of directed numbers. Now what I mean by algebra of directed numbers is algebra means the four mathematical operations, basically addition, which is denoted by this plus sign, subtraction, denoted by this minus sign, multiplication, denoted by this sign, and division, denoted by this particular sign. These four are known as mathematical operations. So there are basically four mathematical operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Together, all these four, when we use on numbers, we call that as algebra of numbers. We can say algebra of directed numbers. So addition or subtraction or multiplication or division or a combination of more than two of these four operations at a time is nothing but algebra of directed numbers. So we are going to start learning algebra of directed numbers. But before we start, let us try to understand the significance of the negative numbers. The significance of negative numbers. Okay. Now, as I told you in my last session also, negative numbers are useful in some particular sense. For example, suppose somebody is telling you that the temperature of a place is minus 2 degrees centigrade right now. Okay. If the temperature rises by 5 degrees centigrade, what will be the new temperature? What will be the new temperature? Okay. So when you encounter such questions, what happens is you are supposed to tell what is the temperature, the new temperature after minus 2 degrees centigrade that results on increasing the temperature by 5 degrees centigrade. So increasing the temperature by 5 degrees centigrade means adding 5 degrees centigrade to the initial temperature, which was minus 2 degrees centigrade. Okay. So basically this will give you the answer as minus 2 plus 5. And minus 2 plus 5, once you study this algebra of directed numbers, I'll teach you how to add these integers, negative and positive, negative and negative, positive and positive. All combinations I'm going to teach you in this algebra of directed numbers. So minus 2 plus 5 actually works out to plus 3 degrees centigrade. So the answer will be the new temperature, okay, will be plus 3 degrees centigrade. Okay, let us take one more example. Suppose somebody says that the temperature is say minus 5 degrees centigrade. Okay, now temperature is minus 5 degrees centigrade, and let the temperature now fall. So minus 5 degree centigrade falls by say another 5 degrees centigrade. Okay, now what will be the new temperature? Now what is the new temperature? Okay, so here what you are supposed to do is, right now the temperature is 5 degrees centigrade, and now the temperature is going to fall. Fall means decrease. So when it is decrease, you have to subtract. Okay, and it is going to subtract, it is going to decrease by how much? By 5 degrees centigrade. So minus 5 degrees centigrade. So minus 5 degrees centigrade minus another 5 degrees centigrade, this will be equal to what? It will be equal to minus 5 degrees centigrade. Okay, now once you study this algebra of directed numbers, you will get to know what will be the answer for minus 5 minus 5. So minus 5 happens to be minus 10 degrees centigrade. So this is going to be your new temperature now. So the new temperature will be minus 10 degrees centigrade. Is that clear? Now it is not only the case of temperature. You can take some other examples as well. Okay. Suppose somebody is talking to you in this language. A diver is below the surface of water at minus 15 meter. So suppose this is the surface of the water and the diver is somewhere over here. Now this is your diver. Now the question says that the diver is 15 meter below. Okay, or the question says that the diver is below the surface of water at minus 15. Okay, so what he means to say that this diver is at minus 15 meter depth. Okay, he dives down by 6 meter further. Now he dives down, so he goes down by further 6 meter. So 6 meter further he moves down. When he moves down, of course it will be minus. Okay, so what is the new depth of the diver? Where is the diver now? So now the diver's position will be minus 15 minus 6 meters. Okay, and this will work out to minus 15 minus 6 is minus 21 meter. So the new position of the diver now is at minus 21 meter. So minus is indicating something below the surface. Plus will indicate something above the surface. Okay, so above the surface, below the surface can be represented by positive number and negative number respectively. Same way, temperature above 0 degree centigrade can be represented by positive temperature, and temperature below 0 degree centigrade can be represented by negative temperature. Same way, profit can be denoted by plus, loss can be denoted by minus. So now you must have got to understand that the negative numbers are useful in indicating something which goes in the opposite direction. Is that clear? Okay. So now we are going to learn, since you have now understood the meaning of directed numbers, let us start learning algebra of directed numbers. Okay. Now let me tell you, first of all, the directed numbers can be either a positive number or it can be a negative. So it can be positive x or negative x, right? So when you have two different directed numbers, suppose you have plus x and you have say minus y. Okay, these are two different positive, one is positive and one is negative, so they are directed numbers, right? These are two directed numbers whose numerical value is same. For example, minus 5 and plus 5. Okay, so the numerical values are same but the sign are different, so these are directed numbers. Here the two numerical values are also different, like x and y. So let us consider 5 and say 3, and say one is positive, one is negative. So let me take this as positive and this as negative. Okay, so these are some of the examples of directed numbers. So minus 5, plus 5, minus 10, plus 3. See, 0 doesn't have any sign. You cannot assign any sign to 0. There is no sense in calling 0 as a positive 0 or a negative 0. 0 is just 0. You cannot assign any sign to it. So only sign that can be assigned to the numbers can be like plus 5, minus 10, plus 3, plus 1, minus 1. Okay, and since we are talking about integers, I'm going to talk only about these examples. Okay, see, you can have numbers like plus 2.5, minus 3.5, minus 200, minus 880, plus 1101. Now these 101.05. Now these are also directed numbers, but these are not directed numbers connected to integers. Okay, because this 2.5 is not an integer. 3.5 is not. Of course, these two are integers, so these are directed numbers connected to integers. But these are directed numbers because you have plus and minus sign, but they are not integers. Okay, they are not integers. These are decimal points. Okay, decimal numbers. So directed numbers of integers, okay, we are going to study now. So we are interested in directed numbers, the algebra of directed numbers of integers. So let me write the topic, algebra of directed numbers. Now mostly directed numbers are referred to only for the integers. Okay, now algebra means, as I told you, there will be four things coming to it: addition, that is plus; subtraction, that is minus; then multiplication, okay, and division. So in short, we are going to study how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide two or more than two integers. Okay, so let us go step by step. Suppose you have a number like say 7. Now when we are talking about directed numbers, let me tell you, if it is a positive directed number, if I don't write that positive sign in front of that number, it is understood that it is having positive sign. Okay, but if it is a negative directed number, if it is having a negative sign, then you will have to put a negative sign in front of it. So now I am putting a number, a directed number as plus 7, and there's one more directed number, say plus 5. Okay, now these two are directed numbers. Plus 7 and plus 5 are two directed numbers. If I want to add them, then what I'll do, I'll write plus 7 plus 5. Okay, now this is the way of writing as you want to do the operation. So plus 7 is a directed number, plus 5 is another directed number, and these two directed numbers you want to add, and that is why there is this plus sign. Plus 7 plus 5, this can be written simply as 7 plus 5, because as I told you, there is no need of mentioning this plus if the directed number is positive. Okay, if the directed number is positive, no need of mentioning. So let us ignore this plus sign and this plus sign. Okay, then what will be like 7 plus 5, and this is what, 12. So the answer for addition of these two directed numbers, plus 7 and plus 5, is nothing but 12. And since it is not having any sign, means it is plus, right? So this is how you add any two positive directed numbers. This is the example number 1. Now, suppose you have a positive directed number like say plus 7, and another one is a negative directed number, say minus 2, and you want to add these two. Okay, then how we are going to write it? Plus 7 plus minus 2, isn't it? Plus 7 plus minus 2. As I told you, the plus sign before the number can be ignored. Okay, since we know it is positive, don't write that sign, just write plus. Now this is plus and minus. This means plus into minus you have to do. Plus into minus is minus, and then write 2. Okay, so this is basically, or you can consider this entire as a directed number, and since this is a positive sign, so ignore it. So don't write this, don't write it. So it will be 7 minus 2, and this will work out to 5. Okay, or rather plus 5. Okay, so plus 7 and minus 2, if you add, the answer will be plus 5. So this is how you add a positive and a negative number. The third thing is, suppose both the numbers are negative, say minus 7 and minus 5, both numbers are negative, both directed numbers are negative. Now you cannot ignore the sign, because they are negative numbers, you cannot ignore the sign. So this can be written as, now this you want to add. So first I'll write the first directed number as minus 7, then add means plus, and then second directed number is minus 5. So I'll write this way. Now this directed number, the sign before that is plus, so this I can ignore. So this can be written as minus 7 minus 5. Okay, and minus 7 minus 5 is what? It is minus 12. Now how you get this minus 12? There is a simple rule. When both the directed numbers are negative, and if you want to add them, then what you have to do is you just add the numerical values and put a minus sign in front of that. This is a simple way of doing it. Okay, so whenever you have two positive numbers, you know how to add them. Whenever you have two negative numbers, you know how to add them. And whenever a number is positive and other one is negative, you know how to add them. So all these three cases are telling you how addition of directed numbers is done. Next, let us talk about subtraction of two numbers, directed numbers. So same way, let us take the example of plus 12. This is a positive directed number. Another one is plus 7. Okay, this is another directed number. Now you want to subtract it. So how we are going to write it? Plus 12. Now subtract means minus sign, and then the number is plus 7. Okay, so this can be ignored, this plus sign, and we can write just 12. And this is minus and then plus 7. Okay, now this is a positive number, so you cannot ignore this. So you have to write minus over here. So it will be minus 7, right? And 12 minus 7 is 5. So the answer will be 5. Second example is, suppose you have one positive and one negative, okay, directed number. And if you want to subtract, so just write this plus 12, subtract minus sign. What do you want to subtract? Minus 7. Okay, so put it in bracket. This will be plus 12, minus minus will be plus 7. This will be plus 7 plus 9, 7 plus 12 plus 7 is nothing but plus 19. The answer will be plus 19. Now this is the way you have to handle. Now suppose the third one is both are say negative, minus and minus, and if you want to subtract them, so minus 12, subtract means minus. What do you want to minus? Minus 7 I want to minus. This can be written as minus 12, minus into minus is plus, and then 7. Now this happens to be one negative number and another positive number, minus 12 plus sign. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to add this two. No, you have to subtract this two. From 12, if you subtract 7, you will get 5, and write the symbol or the sign of the bigger number. So bigger number is 12, so this will be the sign, minus will be the sign. Okay, so this is how basically you add or subtract two directed numbers, whether they are positive or negative. Okay, so the general rule is, I have explained you in these examples. Now let us practice some problems quickly so that you will get a feeling of how to add and subtract two directed numbers or more than two directed numbers. Okay, so let us start with this practice questions for today. Practice questions. Okay, remember, I am going to deal with only addition and subtraction right now, not multiplication and division. Okay, so quickly let me take some questions from here. Number one, plus 16 plus a minus 30. Okay, so here the two directed numbers are plus 16 and minus 30. They are directed numbers and you are supposed to add them. So basically what you will do, this plus sign before 16 you just ignore and write just 16. Then this plus and minus are coming together. When two signs come together, what you do is you multiply them, plus into minus. And remember, plus into plus is a plus, plus into minus is a minus, minus into plus is also a minus, and minus into minus is always a plus. So when two same signs are multiplied, you get the same sign plus. When the same sign minus you multiply, you get the answer as plus. When one of the sign is plus and the other is minus, when you multiply them, you get a minus as the answer. So here you can see plus and minus coming together. So plus into minus will be minus and then it will be 30. So basically now you are confronted with 16 minus 30. Now how to do this? Now again you have two directed number plus 16 and minus 30. One is positive, one is negative. So what you have to do is you have to subtract. When one is positive and one is negative, what you have to do is you have to subtract smaller numerical value from the bigger numerical value. So smaller numerical value is 16, bigger numerical value is 30. So if you subtract 16 from 30, you should get answer as 14. Am I right? 16 if you subtract from 30, the answer will be 14, right? And then what you do, you put the sign in front of 14, which belongs to the bigger numerical value. Now, which is the sign of the bigger numerical value? Minus. Minus is the sign of 30. So you will put a minus sign over here. Remember, when we say the sign of a directed number, it means the sign before the numerical value, not the sign after the numerical value. Okay. So if I write 16 and then minus, this doesn't mean that this is a directed number minus 16. No. Minus and then 16 if I write, this is the directed number minus 16. Okay. So the sign after the number you are not supposed to consider. You have to consider the sign which is coming before the number. So this minus 16 is written this way, plus 16 is written this way. Got it? There's nothing like a number written and then a sign behind it. Okay, this is not meaning anything. Okay, fine. So now let us go to the next question. Next question is, let us do some few examples of today. Now plus 9 minus a plus 11. Okay, so now here we are talking about two directed numbers, plus 9 and plus 11, and we want to subtract them. Okay, we want to subtract plus 11 from plus 9. So here what we have to do is plus 9. Now this is plus into minus, minus, and then 11. Okay, now you come across two numbers with two different signs. Okay, so whenever you have two different signs, what you have to do is you have to subtract smaller from the bigger. So you subtract 9 from 11, you get 2 as the answer. But don't forget to put the sign of the bigger value. Bigger value being 11, the sign before 11 is minus, so put a minus 4. This will be the answer. Next one is plus 8 plus a minus 4. Now this can be written as plus 8. Now plus into minus is minus, so plus 8 minus 4. Now these are two directed numbers with opposite sign, that is plus and minus. So you have to subtract. 8 minus 4 will be 4. And put the sign of the bigger number. Now bigger numerical value being 8, the sign is plus, so you write plus 4. So plus 8 plus minus 4 will be plus 4. Is that clear? So these are some of the examples of addition and subtraction of directed numbers. Let us take three numbers. Now this is another example. Suppose you have minus 17 minus a minus 1 plus a minus 10. Okay. If you want to do this, what you will do? Minus 17. Now minus into minus will be plus and plus 1. And your plus into minus will be minus. So minus 10. So in the first step, what you have to do? You have to remove the brackets. Okay. When you remove the brackets, you have to multiply out these two signs. Okay. Minus into minus is plus. So I have written plus over here. Plus into minus is minus. So I have written minus over here. And once I do that, the brackets are not put in. Okay. They are removed. Now what happens? Let us do this too. Minus 17 plus 1. These are having different sign. So I will subtract 1 from 17. I get 16. But don't forget to put the sign of the bigger number. Sign of the bigger number 17 is minus. So I'll put a minus over here. And I have to do this minus 10 also, which was remaining. Now minus 16 minus 10 both are directed numbers with the same sign. So whenever you come across directed number with the same sign, you have to just add them. So 16 plus 10 will be how much? It will be 26. And you have to put the same sign. So minus and minus, so put minus. Got it? So answer will be minus 26. Let us take one more. Suppose you want to do minus 5 plus a minus 7 plus a minus a plus 9. Okay? Minus a plus 9. Okay, let us work out this. So minus 5, I'll write as minus 5. Now I want to remove this bracket. So plus into minus is minus, and I'll write 7. And now again this bracket I want to remove. So minus into plus is minus. So minus 9. Okay. Now first I'm going to work out these two. These are two negative numbers. So I have to add 7 and 5 to give me 12 and put a minus sign because both are having the same minus sign. And just write this minus sign after that. Again, you come across a situation where the two numbers are having the same sign. Okay. So what you will do? You will again add them up. 12 and 9 will be how much? It will be 9, 10, 11, 21. Okay. And sign the same sign minus. So this is the answer for that. Okay. So I think in this today's session, I am limiting myself to just addition and subtraction of directed numbers. And in the next video, I am going to cover multiplication and division of the directed numbers. Once you become very much familiar in this algebra of these directed numbers or algebra of integers, okay, then you can further proceed with other things. Now, this is the basic thing that any student should learn as soon as quick as possible. Whether you are learning it in your 4th grade, or you are learning it in your 5th grade, or you are learning it in your 6th or 7th. As soon as you learn this particular algebra of directed numbers, as soon as you master this algebra of directed numbers, you cannot proceed further in mathematics. Okay. And this is the stepping stone. So what I call algebra of directed numbers is the stepping stone of mathematics. So you have to first become very sound with the procedure of how to add or how to subtract various directed numbers. Okay. So that was the purpose of starting today's video, which I have started with. And in the next video, I am going to continue with multiplication and division of the directed numbers. That's all for today's session. See you in the next video with some other topic. Bye. Take care, all of you.